I want to go back to college football here for a minute. I want to preview a game, coming up this week. We got Indiana and Oregon. Um, Obviously a huge game. College game day is going to Eugene for this game. I think that Indiana, they definitely have a lot to prove still. They're not in the top five. They still have a lot to prove. Oregon, number three, Dante Moore been playing pretty good. Obviously losing your senior quarterback to the NFL draft doesn't seem to be affecting Oregon that much, which makes a lot of sense because they had playmakers on the other side of the ball as well. Um, Indiana, I think they have a Heisman leading quarterback right now. I think if you ask me right now, Francisco Mendoza would be at the front of the Heisman voting. I think Indiana has a real good chance at this game. I think, but the question is, can they make plays on the outside perimeter against Oregon's cornerbacks? Can they make plays? And I think they can. I think Francisco Mendoza obviously has the arm to go deep. I think that, obviously Indiana is going to call a lot of shot plays in this game. I think if they call enough, Indiana can score enough points. They could take down Oregon. So I think Indiana is going to win this game. But Evan, I want to go to you first. Your thoughts as a whole. Francisco Mendoza. I know I dropped it like a bombshell. Francisco Mendoza, I think, is the leader in the Heisman. I want to hear your thoughts on that. I want to hear, you know, as the game as a whole, what you got going on.
Yeah, this is a very big game, obviously, for both teams. I think this is Indiana's redo. They get a redo. And what do they get a redo from? They get a redo from last year at Ohio State, where their quarterback only threw for 60 yards and they were not competitive at all. Indiana had a very good season under Kurt Cignetti last year, but they didn't really perform well in the big games. They lost in the playoffs to Notre Dame, and that especially that Ohio State game. I was going into that. I thought they were going to beat Ohio State last year. And they not only did they not beat them, they didn't even look competitive. So this is not Illinois at home. That was a fun win. Don't get me wrong, but this is Big Ten gladiator stuff right here. So going into Oregon, which I've heard is a very loud stadium to play at, it's obviously most college football stadiums get pretty intense, but Oregon it gets crazy there. So that's gonna be a ruckus environment. So this is their do-over for that. I agree. Mendoza's playing great. Dante Moore is a very good quarterback for Oregon. I actually didn't know much about Dante Moore, but I was very impressed at the end of that Penn State game. How he was playing and managing the offense. Yes, they didn't score a billion points that game like they normally do, but he was managing the offense, I think, very well. So this is going to be high scoring. I would smash the over if I was around any sort of sports book. I don't know what it is. It's probably pretty high, but I would still smash it. I think Indiana's going to show up to play. I probably think Oregon's going to win just because of that home environment, but it's going to be a really good game. I'm looking forward to this one.
So I mentioned that Oregon is in a discussion with, Miami and Ohio State to arguably be the number one team in the country. And at the time, I thought that, the win at Penn State was going to be a huge win. But obviously, Penn State goes and loses to UCLA. That loses some of its luster. Um, is Penn State just not that good? Like, was Drew Aller, were all those guys overhyped? But I honestly don't think Oregon was looking at this game at the beginning of the year. But once Indiana did what they did to Illinois, beating them by 53 points, if I remember right, that definitely caught Oregon's eye and the rest of the country's eye. I saw this funny stat because we know the Big Ten is on CBS now, and this is only the second top 10 matchup they've had. And the first, I believe, I don't remember how many games, but in the same amount of SEC games that they had on CBS, they had like 12 top 10 matchups. This is only their second one. The other one being the Big Ten championship game. So that's just funny to me. But to so I think the winning quarterback of this game is going to be at the front of the Heisman. Um, I saw the odds from ESPN Bet earlier today, and actually the top two odds in the Heisman are actually Dante Moore, quarterback at Oregon, and Carson Beck, quarterback at Miami. If Oregon wins this game by say 20 points, then I think Dante Moore, excuse me, skyrockets up that, and I don't think the gap's that close. Oregon. It again, if Oregon wins by 20 points, are they going to jump Miami? Um, and if Ohio State loses on the road in Champaign, are they going to be number one? So that's just interesting to me. I think Oregon wins this game because of the home field advantage. I just don't really see a team in the country that can go into that environment and win a game.
Gordon, you were thinking about DJ Ungale. Um,
That might be what I
not
was about to say. No, 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 no. Fun fact. I remember his last name was Moore, and I was about to say DJ Moore.
That's what I heard. I
yeah,
forgot about
I was
DJ Youngale though. I forgot about him. Yeah,
now DJ Moore is a wide receiver with the Chicago Bears. He's not quarterback
Correct,
for
correct.
Oregon. That's Dante Moore. But yeah, I mean, I think that, Dante, like Jordan said, the top two quarterbacks, like you said, Jordan, the top two quarterbacks for the Heisman voting are Dante Moore and Carson Beck. Obviously Dante Moore deserves to be there. Um, obviously plays very good at Oregon. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Francisco Mendoza is number three on that list.
I think it might have been Jeremiah Smith. Mendoza might have been fourth, if I remember right.
Jeremiah Smith is a good option too. He hasn't been getting the ball a whole lot at Ohio State. But obviously he's a playmaker and we know what he can do when he does get the ball. So and a great quarterback to throw it to him, as Julian saying. So